So this is the first video in our van build series. I've been wanting to buy a Sprinter van for a couple of years, and Lisa's just like, yeah, whatever, we're not doing that. And slowly but surely, I've kept working on her, and I finally broke her down. And I came up with a plan on how we were gonna do this, and she finally bought into it. And so I started looking maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago seriously for a van, and I was really surprised how difficult it is to find one. They're in super high demand. I've heard that because of the coronavirus, some of the plants that make some of the parts and assembly have shut down, and so it's really hard to find a new one, but also even a used one is difficult to find, depending on what you're looking for. And I had some pretty specific things I was looking for. I started out thinking a 2016, 2017, under 50,000 miles. My price range was around 30,000. I thought that would be a pretty good, van to build. And as I started looking, and I found a few in that price range in that year. But as I started doing research, I realized that there were a lot of changes that were made in 2019. Not too much to the body. The front end looks just a little bit different. The taillights are a little bit different. But most of the updates were to the technology. And I'm kind of a technology junkie, and really love technology, kind of a gadget guy. And when I kind of started studying up what they did in 2019, I decided I had to have a 2019 or newer. And the main things that they changed, one is that they changed the stereo system, the head unit right here. And it's an LCD. I think I have my keys in, yeah. So I'm gonna start it up. And so you can see it's an LCD screen. It's called, and the system they call is their MBUX, Mercedes-Benz User Experience. Comes in a 7-inch screen and also a 10.25-inch screen. So I really wanted the 10.25-inch, but this is a 7.5-inch. What I found is the 10.25 comes with an upgraded package that's almost $3,000. I think $2,500 to $3,000 upgrade. It's like the Premium Plus package, and it's just about impossible to find one in a cargo van. They put those more in the passengers and the crews, and so I kind of kept my eyes open, but I really wanted to have the LCD screen. It does come in a version with the base, just a base radio, but this version has it's touch screen. It also has Apple CarPlay, has navigation, quite a bit. Even the settings for the car you can do through the LCD touch screen, Bluetooth. Apple CarPlay was a really big deal for me. I really have wanted to have that in a car for a long time. So anyway, I kind of decided I had to have a 2019. So then I kind of looked at what would the price range be, and the price range I was finding on those was from about $38,000 or $39,000 to $45,000. Kind of a big jump, $8,000 or $10,000 jump from where I originally wanted to be, but I decided it was worth it. So I started looking, and it is really hard to find a 2019 with low miles with those features that I wanted. So I'm gonna give you a pro tip. The way to find a van, if you're having a hard time finding what you're looking for, is I started with Auto Trader, and I found dealers who were listing Sprinter vans, and most of them didn't have exactly what I wanted. But what I did is I started reaching out to them and emailing them and letting them know what I was looking for. And I had about 4 or 5 dealers around the country who were emailing me almost every day with, hey, I've got this van, will this work, will this work? And I finally found one in Chicago that was a good fit. The only thing that I wasn't excited about, it was a crew version, not a cargo version. I really wanted a cargo version. But what I found is it's pretty tough to find this package in a cargo van. They are out there, but they're really hard to find. Most people that are buying cargos are getting it pretty basic. So I bought the Crew. The difference with the Crew is it has a 3-person bench seat right behind the driver and passenger. And then it has windows on the slider and right across from the slider. And then it also, the towing capacity is 5,000 pounds instead of 7,500. And the gross, I don't know what you call it, the capacity, the weight capacity is I think $1,200 or $1,300 12 or 1,300 pounds less than the cargo version. So the overall weight capacity is a little bit less, but it also has a little bit smoother ride because it is made for passengers, and so the suspension is just a little bit softer. I wasn't too worried about the weight capacity because I'm not going to really be loading this down. Also, I wanted a 144 wheelbase, and so because that is a little bit less weight than the 170, that's also helps me out with my overall weight. And so I found a Crew 144 wheelbase, pretty much everything else I wanted. Found it in Chicago. Took about this is the interesting thing, is the dealership didn't have any in stock, but the lady that I work with said, I do have one in our fleet that we use for demos and loaners that I could pull out of our fleet and sell to you. That one never would have been listed, but then they had quite a few upgrades on it because it was one of their fleet vans, and she was willing to pull it out of service and sell it to me for a really good deal. It only had about a little over 12,000 miles, just a little over a year old, still has the remainder of the warranty and everything. So if you're looking for a 2019, that's the best way to do it, is reach out to a bunch of dealers and start putting the feelers out and have them look for that, and you'll be surprised how many of them start contacting you. So when it finally was available, it took about 3 weeks for them to pull it out of service, go through it, do the recalls, do a service on it, do a detail. My wife and I jumped on a plane, flew to Chicago. We live in Utah. Flew to Chicago, and then we took 3 days to drive it back home. And we took kind of the scenic route. There's a way you can go through Nebraska and Colorado, but we chose to go the northern route through Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, and then drop down through Wyoming. That was about maybe an extra 3 hours, but we got to go to Mount Rushmore, which has been on my bucket list for a long time. And so that was a lot of fun. But great road trip to start out the van. One interesting thing, I've never had a diesel vehicle before. Because of coronavirus, the interaction at the dealership was pretty quick. I walked in, signed a couple of papers, they handed me the keys, and we got in the van and started driving. And so I was probably at the dealership a total of 15 or 20 minutes. So they didn't give me a walkthrough or anything, but we're driving along, and we were in Wyoming in the middle of nowhere, and a signal indicator comes on that I'm low on fluid. It doesn't say what kind of fluid, it says low fluid, check the manual. So I check the manual and find out it is the DEF, diesel emissions fluid. And if you've never had a diesel, you probably wouldn't know what that is, but you have to add a fluid to the vehicle in order, it kind of keeps the emissions in check. And so I had to start looking for, how do I get this stuff? And here's another pro tip. Found out the best way to buy it is not to buy it in the jugs. A lot of people will go into, they sell it everywhere. Gas stations, Costco sells it, auto parts stores, sell it in the jugs. But you're going to pay anywhere from $4, $5, $6 a gallon if you buy it by the jug. If you go to a truck stop, Love's, TA, Pilot, Flying J, any place like that, in the area where the semis gas up in the diesel area, there is a DEF machine, like a pump, and you just put your credit card in, put it in there, and fill it up. And I think it was like $2.60 a gallon. I was below half. I had about a third of my DEF fluid left. So I topped it off. It took about 3.5 gallons, cost me like $7 or $8 to do it. So it's pretty inexpensive, but by far that's the best way to do it. You're going to save quite a bit of money by going to a truck stop and getting your DEF instead of buying it by the jug. So anyway, that's it for the first video. We're going to start the van build. I'm actually starting today. I pulled out the bench seat because this crew van did come with a bench seat. Pulled that out. I've got that up for sale on Craigslist. I'm going to pull out the headliner. I'm going to sell that on Craigslist. And then we're going to pull up the floor and we're going to start insulating and doing wiring over the next few days. So I will have more videos step by step with that. My background, I've been a do-it-yourselfer for a long time, and I built out basements, remodels, quite a bit of things like that. When I was a kid, I did a lot of electronics in car, did a lot of car stereo wiring and systems, and so I have a lot of background in a lot of different things that I think will translate over, hopefully, to this van build. Done a lot of fine woodworking, carpentry, trim work, things like that. So that's all kind of stuff I'm very familiar with. I've done a lot of electrical work, plumbing work. So I'm hoping to do this van build in about 6 to 8 weeks. 6 weeks would be ideal. We are not going to be living in it full time. This is going to be strictly for road trips. In our business, we travel quite a bit, and so it'll allow us to be on the road and travel and to go and see the people that we work with. And so we'll be just traveling weekends and a week here and a week there. We definitely won't be living in it. That's part of why we did a 144. I'm really surprised how easily it drives. It drives like a truck, but not like a big long van. It's really easy to back. And one thing that's really nice about this version is it does have in the LCD, it has a backup camera with the indicators that show you, I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it shows you, where you're backing. It also has, if you click this one, it actually will line you up with a trailer hitch if you're going to be towing a trailer. So it's pretty nice that way. To have that backup camera. So that's another thing that was kind of important to us. So anyway, I'm going to hopefully apply my experience and knowledge that I've gained over the last 40 years or so with building and remodels and electronics and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to have a shower, a toilet, we're going to have a kitchen, we're going to have a full-size bed, which is going to be about 73 inches long by about 66 inches wide. So we'll be able to stretch out sleeping the length of the van, not across. And we're going to pretty much model this out of an Airstream Interstate 19. And those sell for about $150,000, $160,000. We're going to be taking the layout, the floor plan from that. So if you'd love to see how to make that work in a Sprinter 144, or even if you have a 170 and you want to stretch things out a little bit, then you'll be able to do that as well. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. If you're interested in learning about this van build, we're going to really take a lot of time to detail out how we do things. Then want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you'll get alerts when we upload new videos. Thanks for watching and have a great day.